Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how to replace your rotors. How to go rotors, brakes, everything. The shims, the anti-rattle hardware, everything. It's time, I live in the Rust Belt area, state, and a lot of rust, and I need to, because sooner or later you would have to replace things due to the rust. Or if you catch it sooner enough and do them preventive maintenance, then you can avoid a lot of this junk. So we're gonna go from factory rotors to EBC rotors. Driver side is down, we're doing the passenger side. Have very good luck for this brand. So we're gonna start taking everything apart. As you can see, it's all rusted. Rotor is not even surface, even though brake pad's still good, but I can tell you one thing. This brand, the worst brand of brake pads I ever tried, ours on Duralast, they're pure junk. So we're gonna remove the rotor, remove everything, caliper, clean the remove caliper bracket. As you can see right there, it's rough. Size 14, size 17. It's simple. So let me walk you through and go from there. First thing is to remove the caliper. So the caliper bolts are removed. I'm gonna remove the caliper. That's it. Or what I usually do is I inspect this dust seal for any cracks, because driver's side was damaged and I ended up replacing it. It was a pain in the neck to replace it. Let me put it that way. So this thing looks good, like that, using the caliper bracket. It's all good, as you can see right there. And while it's hanging there, let me show you what I do to prevent this from rust from exploding. I take in the rust and I apply inside the piston and all the surface. So it's going to look like wet at first, then it's going to be waxy look, but at least it would not be rust. Rust not going to be exploding. Same thing, everywhere there is rust, going to apply it and prevent from rusting it. After we applied undercoating, let it soak in, become like a waxy feel look, and then what we're gonna do next step, so this will not corrode, will stay as is now. So we're gonna start removing those bolts. So these bolts are difficult to remove, they're usually rusted in. As you can see, they're rusted. So we're gonna size 17. See if we can break it loose at least. Okay, this one is not too bad actually, it's moving. Oh, and the bottom one is not too bad. Let's see if we can remove it now. Every little clip, because you have rust build up underneath those anti-rattle clips. What it does, it's lifting and it's jamming the pad. It's squeezing the pad and it prevents from moving. So this one is not too bad. Driver's side was worse. Well, actually this one was, driver's side was, but this pin was in good shape too. So however, we're going to clean all the rust. Now we're going to take the caliper bracket. As you can see, there's a lot of buildup. Break it loose. Caliper. Let's see if I can break it loose. Oh yeah, no problem. There you go. So even the clip already, anti-rattle clip. Wanna show you something. How much rust and buildup there is. See right there? See all this rust? It's a lot of rust. So all the rust prevents clips from and pad sitting flush against this. So all this has to be removed. There is some kind of coating, but since all that rusted, the coating will not be any good. We're going to install brand new clips, even though you can reuse those clips. There's nothing. If you want to clean up because it looks like they're stainless steel, so they're not rusted. But since I already bought everything brand new, I'm gonna put a brand new new O-rings, not O-rings, new seals. And I post a link for all the hardware parts, and so you can buy it yourself. And you can see this thing is shut, it doesn't want to come out. It's all rusted in. It's actually not too bad. We're gonna put a fresh in, put a new special lube. We're not gonna use the Toyota lube here. We're gonna use something more rust resistant and something that can last longer. And of course, we're gonna remove all this rust. As you can see right there, see, rotors were not being utilized 50% because pads were stuck. There's a lot of rust. It's time for those things to go. As you can see, all this rust is all going to be undercoated. We're going to remove it. So instead of replacing this heat dust or dust shield, heat shield, we're going to extend life. We're going to get 30 years out of this. Or we can just buy a new one. You know, if we can save it, we're going to save it. That's why using undercoating products extend the life of the equipment. So I cleaned all the surfaces on the brake caliper. There is some spots, not sure what original coating was still there. I did not remove, I left it alone, but I removed all the rust, cleaned it up. So this is what I do to prevent it from rusting, because once you remove the rust, you gotta keep the metal protected. If it's not protected, it's gonna rust. The grease seems to be working fine so far, what I found. I already tested different one by the same brand. I cleaned it, applied it. A year later, I removed the grease. Grease was not dissolved by the salt or grime or water. The metal was still shiny underneath. Not sure the camera can do the justice, but this is the type of grease that I'm using. Very tacky. So once I'm done, what I do, after applying it, I set the clip. I install the clip. That's it. Now, if moisture gets there underneath, it will not corrode because now it's protected by grease. And same thing I'm gonna do, apply on top of it. See those tiny holes? Let me show you. So I'm gonna make sure these holes are filled completely, and then I'm gonna apply thin coat on this. Why? To prevent, even though it's stainless steel, it's not needed, but to prevent any moisture buildup, causing it, and it will prevent moisture buildup, and will allow the brake pad to slide easily back and forth. Will make the pad last longer and brake work better. That's why I apply. Plus, sealing those holes will prevent any moisture, any salt getting there. So that's how I do it. And I do on all four sides on every caliper. So this is what it looks like after I lube the pins. Some of you might say, is it necessary? No, it's not. But to prevent pads from rusting and moisture collecting here, I'd rather have grease. Same thing on that side. So now we're going to install the sliding pins and start putting everything together. And to install the sliding pins, of course, we got to lube everything, making sure everything is lubed. Now it's all clean, and I'll show you the next step. When installing sliding pins, remember, they're not equal length. They're not equally shaped. This one has O-ring on it. That one doesn't have it, so they're backwards. And I'm doing this to show you guys that they're different. If you're not sure, try it. So the bottom one is the shorter one, at least on my vehicle. Yours might be different, might be not, but you can double check. They're different length and different shape. So apply thin coat of grease on a pin, on a bushing. Let me show you. I have a brand new bushing right there. So we're gonna apply thin coat. And the purpose of this is to seal, so no moisture can come through. Because if you put too much, what happens then is just it's difficult to install, because now grease prevents it from sliding. And the other bad side about it, you're pushing the grease down. You don't want to push the grease down and have between the pin and the bottom of the surface a layer of grease. Now you don't want to have that. What happens is you're creating vacuum. You have a grease, you have no way for the air to escape. Help it. Push it in. It will help to go side to side. It will help to put seat properly. That's it. So now we're gonna apply, and we're gonna slightly lube it. See the O-ring, not sure if you can, has little ridges, cuts. That's for the air to escape. So what you want to do, you don't want to lube everything, go crazy. And then light coat on the pin itself. We're going to apply it more on edges here to seal it, so it seals off everything, so it doesn't rust and moisture doesn't get there. Now you can go crazy if you wanted to. It doesn't hurt. And now we're going to push it in. And you see the seal came on itself, and everything is sealed. So now we're going to start installing the rotor. Apply the grease. It prevents rotor from sticking to, rusting. As you saw, didn't take much of an effort to remove original rotors. The reason why, because I had a lot of grease applied around it. They were original. I never removed it, but I still applied on the edges before the rim, and I will show you in this video. So now we're going to put the rotor, secure it, put the brake caliper bracket. When you are using EBC brand rotors, you don't clean them with a brake parts cleaner. These rotors are from factory clean. And because everything is wet here, I don't want to get them greasy. A good practice is to put couple lug nuts. It will prevent rotor from shifting while installing the bracket. So a question, how much to torque these bolts? 79 foot-pounds. The bracket. Bracket bolts are 79 foot-pounds. After you secure with 79 foot-pounds the bracket, next step is put the pads. I didn't show you guys installing the pads. I'm sure it's a reverse of removal. As you can see, I have grease everywhere. Yes, I want to make sure it doesn't rust. Make sure it's all sliding smooth. Caliper bolts is, I'm not sure what the specs. Make sure it's not. You can search it online if you wanted to. Don't forget the springs. There is a springs on the pads. There is. You will see when you remove the caliper. When you remove the caliper, there were springs that spreads the pads. It's tricky to put them back on. You gotta hold with one hand, and then slide one side of the caliper. Put the bolt on. Put another one. So now we're gonna put the grease around the edge, inside the holes, so it doesn't rust. Put the wheel back on, take it for a spin, see how it's worked, see how it's working, and we're done. And that's how you can save, you know what I mean, a lot of money by doing it yourself. Simple tools. Yeah, you need a torque wrench. No, you don't have to buy a snap-on. I don't buy everything snap-on, you know. There is no need unless you work on this stuff on cars every day. But even for the brakes, you don't need snap-on. E-torque is great, cheap, affordable. Torque wrench, I'll post the links in the description, and that's how you replace brakes on your Lexus vehicle.